All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another comparison head-to-head. Today we have the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Look at this beauty in this nice orange colorway. And then the Saucony Endorphin Elite in a white with also a nice red, orange, and purple here. These are actually the same color scheme, just different main colors, if that makes sense. So we're going to keep it a little bit on the briefer side today, short and sweet. Two great marathon racing shoes from Saucony. The Endorphin Elite is more aggressive. It's a little bit designed more for faster pace, faster runners. Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 is the latest in the Endorphin Pro series. This is the hobby jogger racing shoe. It's the one that is beloved and designed really for everyday recreational runners who want to get out there and have some fun on the marathon. So I've run a marathon in this guy. I just did a 21-mile long run in the Endorphin Elite. I'm going to break down all the key differences, which one you should buy. Let us get into it, baby. Alright guys, so before we get into this comparison today, Endorphin Elite here versus the Endorphin Pro 4, few little housekeeping announcements. So I am continuing to put some miles on the Peg 41 here. I'm enjoying it. I actually put 10 more miles on it today. Let me know what comparisons you most want to see with this guy. By the way, everything is just fogging up just from sitting outside here. That is crazy. The humidity must be 99% or something. And then other thing is I'm going to highlight these shoes, of course, and a bunch of other shoes. If you buy either of them, if you're considering buying either of them, make sure to use my Running Warehouse link. I'm really bad at promoting stuff, and I forgot to do that in the video. That's why we're out here at 7:16 p.m. So make sure to use the Running Warehouse links to support the channel. They're in the description below. And then last thing, thanks to our friends over at Crocs for sponsoring the channel right now. So if you're looking for a new summer pair of recovery slides, go pick up your Crocs. And then also, we have the new Supwell Track channel. Make sure to subscribe to that if you want to see all the latest and greatest on track spikes. So there you go. Give me your Peg 41 comparisons, Running Warehouse links, and get yourself some new slides. Treat yourself. All right, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so first up, let's start off with an overview of the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. I have a very special place in my heart for the Endorphin Pro. I ran my first marathon ever in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. The previous version of this shoe, it was pink, it was sparkly. I called it the Killa Cam. It reminded me of those pink furs that he used to wear, and it was a nice fun shoe. And what's interesting about the Pro 3 is it almost is exactly in between these two shoes. So the way that they ordered the release of those, it went Pro 3 and then Endorphin Elite and then Endorphin Pro 4. So what they've kind of done is they've taken the spirit of the Pro 3 and split it into two different directions. So in the Endorphin Pro 4 here, this is the one that's going to have that little bit softer, bouncier foam. It doesn't have as much of an aggressive rock and roll as the Pro 3 because that's what we're getting in the Endorphin Elite here. So they put the aggressive rolling geometry on the Endorphin Elite, a little bit of a firmer foam here, and then a little bit of a more forgiving, softer foam in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. So both of these shoes are up near 40 millimeters with the stack height. And this one, we have the Power Run PB foam, so it's a little bit softer. It's this beaded compound. That's going to be the main thing you're getting in here. They also have a little bit of the Power Run HG, and in the Endorphin Elite, full Power Run HG, a lot firmer to the touch. You can even see this right here, and just rides overall a lot firmer and a lot more aggressive. So they both have the full length carbon fiber plate, but key difference is going to be this foam and the underfoot feel of it. So Endorphin Pro 4, very soft, very bouncy, one of the best shoes that I've tested in this marathon racing segment for getting out there and running a variety of paces. So first run I did with this shoe, I did a 20-mile double day. I did about a 6:40 pace workout on the treadmill, and it performed great for that. And in the afternoon, I remember it was actually pouring rain in our neighborhood over here, and I took my son out, and we did a little 8-mile stroller run. He stayed dry. I made sure to keep him dry. And the shoe performed great for that at about an 8-minute something pace with a bunch of rain, wetness, slick, and the stroller, so putting a little bit more weight into the shoe. So very versatile shoe here, nice comfort on foot, and that was the reason that I chose this to race or to run a marathon during training earlier this year. So laced this guy up for a 26-mile long run around the neighborhood here. It was soft It was bouncy. It was perfect for, and I ran that in about 2:55. It was perfect for running at that pace and still feeling comfortable. So that's the thing. A lot of the racing shoes on the market right now, they're more aggressive than this. They're either narrower, or they have firmer foams, or they have bigger curves. This thing is not going to blow you away. It's more of a comfortable, slightly fun shoe. It didn't feel crazy to me. It just felt like a nice, fun shoe to run in, and that's why I was sleeping on it a little bit, even after that marathon I did, because I didn't feel like it was the most fast, aggressive shoe. But for the marathon, I'm leaning more towards comfortable shoes these days. So that's the Endorphin Pro 4. Endorphin Elite here. This guy feels a lot firmer, a lot harsher, a lot more aggressive. You can just see it up in the front here, and let's take a look at these guys side by side. You can see the Endorphin Elite. Yeah, this is the angle to see it. Boom. It just curves up in the front here, really aggressive, and it forces me to run fast. Anytime I've put this shoe on, I felt that I had to run fast, not just to get the most benefit out of it, certainly to get the most benefit, but because running anything slower than about a 7:30 pace for me just does not feel good in the shoe. It feels a little bit clunky. It feels a little bit disjointed. It feels a little bit on the firmer and harsher side. So I'm 160 pounds, 6'2", and I've found that really below 7 minutes is where this shoe is going to shine. So for that 21-mile long run, I did I think a 4-mile warm-up around a 7 flat, and then I picked it up down to about a 6:30 for 3 sets of 3 miles with about a 7:20 to 7:40 paced recovery mile in between those. And so for the recovery sections, it felt okay, but it really was best for hitting that marathon pace for me around 6:30, and it almost made hitting that marathon pace up and down the hills here feel effortless. So I definitely get more speed assistance from this shoe. It feels more propulsive, but it absolutely requires me to be running fast to get any sort of enjoyment out of the shoe, and that is not the case with the Endorphin Pro 4 here. So this one, a little bit more comfortable, a little easier to run in for faster paces, and overall a more enjoyable shoe if you want something that's versatile. This is probably the most versatile marathon racing shoe on the market versus Endorphin Elite here. This is going to be really aggressive and only best for faster running. So if I were picking between these two, if I can only choose one of them, I'd go Endorphin Pro 4 if you want something that's comfortable, versatile, soft and bouncy. Maybe you're running 3:30 marathon and slower. That's the Endorphin Pro 4. It does work well for sub 3 hour marathoners. And if you want something more comfortable for a sub 3, I'd go Endorphin Pro 4 as well. Endorphin Elite is the one that I would choose if you want something that's faster, a little bit more aggressive. If you're going sub 3, if you want a firmer foam, I do think that the foam in the Endorphin Elite here, this is going to stand up a little bit better to more force, more power, bigger runners. If you're running in the low 6s, high 5s, or even faster than that, if you're running a 5:10 marathon pace, this shoe is going to be great. It is on a little bit on the lighter weight side, and I think this is now up there in my top 3 probably for aggressive marathon racing shoes with the Sky Paris, and maybe I'd put the Alpha Fly in there as well. So this is comfortable and aggressive. This guy, fast, propulsive. I also think Endorphin Elite, this is the one that I would choose for a half marathon at my paces. So my half marathon pace right now is probably around 6 flat. I haven't run one in a while, but my last half marathon was a 6:04. So maybe I'd even be 5.5s now if I progressed from the last time I ran a half marathon, but I don't know. I haven't been working lactate threshold, but this is definitely going to be better for faster runners for a half marathon than this guy. But again, if you want something for training, that's where I would go Endorphin Elite. Now, other thing I want to mention between these two is upper, and this is another key consideration if you're deciding between these. Again, upper in the Endorphin Pro 4 here, this leans more comfortable. It's a little bit stretchier here. I have a little bit more give both vertically here, or both lengthwise and widthwise. Endorphin Elite just straps me down right in there. It's a nice fitting upper, but not really a lot of give. Fits like a glove, really snug and very secure. So this has more of that aggressive race day feel overall. And then Endorphin Pro 4, it almost has a little bit of a training vibe to it, and that comes through in the outsole of the Endorphin Pro 4 as well. So this outsole is much superior to the outsole on the Endorphin Elite. You have similar amount of coverage on the front here, but it's just what they've done with the rubber and how they've done this crosshatch pattern. It's a lot grippier. It bites the ground way better. You have more texture. There was no slipping when I ran that marathon in the pouring rain versus the Endorphin Elite here. This guy, I was slipping and sliding all over the place in a way that I've only experienced in other Saucony shoes with the Tempest coming into the office here. And then I've experienced that in the, I'm trying to think about the shoe, Asics Nova Blast 4. So yeah, not good grip at all. So if you want a shoe for a wet weather marathon, if you think that's a possibility, this is not good. It's so bad that it might take 3 minutes off of your potential fastest marathon time. That's how much I had to watch my step and focus on landing in this. And especially if you are going for that aggressive fast PR, you might not be able to sustain your maximum marathon pace with the toe off grip being so bad. And it's just, I can just feel it here with my hands. It is so smooth up in the front versus the Endorphin Pro 4. You can just see that getting a little bit more grip here. So that's the thing. Endorphin Pro 4, better for training, better for wet weather. This might be a safer overall bet, and it's definitely a safer overall bet if you want something that you can 100% be confident in on race day. This is a little bit more of a gamble. If it rains, you're going to be out of luck, and it's not going to be as comfortable if you need to slow down. So if you want that all-out shoe for marathon PR speed, again, Endorphin Elite, a little bit of a more comfortable, safer bet, Endorphin Pro 4. So that's the lowdown on these two shoes. I want to grab a few alternatives. So I'm going to do some alternatives for 4-hour marathon runners, and then I'll do some alternatives for faster marathon runners who like the idea of the Elite but may want something a little bit different. So I also have to flip my chicken nuggets out of the oven. I'll be back in a sec. All right, guys, we're back. Let's get these a little bit further back. So for each of these shoes, I brought an alternative that's 1, less aggressive, and then 2, more exciting. So for the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, if you are considering a marathon shoe and you want the utmost in comfort for time on feet, and you don't even want the aggression of the carbon fiber plate, this is where I would go for the Asics Nova Blast 4. So this is currently my top pick for marathoners who want just pure comfort for spending 3.5, 4 hours on feet. Don't want to worry about getting a fast PR. You're just trying to finish the race and have some fun doing it. This is the shoe I would pick, and it's going to be a little bit better than the Endorphin Pro 4 if you want stability. And again, if you want something that's going to be comfortable for time on feet. Endorphin Pro 4 is comfortable. It's the most comfortable carbon-plated race shoe, but the Nova Blast 4 is going to be just a little bit comfortable overall. You have more padding in the upper, more stability, and you have more foam in this guy. So that's my top alternative for the Endorphin Pro 4. This also comes in at $140. Endorphin Pro 4, good value at $225. That's the most affordable marathon race shoe from any of the big brands. Endorphin Elite's $275, so $50 premium, and I would really only pay that if you're going to be going sub 3 and want that fast, aggressive feel. But Endorphin, and again, I say this all the time, I'm not gatekeeping. You can buy either one of these. They'll feel, your legs aren't going to explode if you're running a 7:30 pace in this, but for me, it's just not the most comfortable. So this would go on this side. If we're thinking most comfortable to least comfortable, it goes Nova Blast, Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, and Endorphin Elite. And then again, speed assistance would be the same thing. Least speed assistance, medium amount of speed assistance, most speed assistance. So Asics Nova Blast 4, only downside is bad grip on this guy as well. So I guess buyer beware from that. So then the next alternative for this Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, if you want something more exciting, this is the Hoka Cielo X1, $275 racing shoe. It's expensive, but you get a lot of foam in here. Hoka did some trickeration to increase the stack height beyond the legal limits by boosting the midsole foam right in the midfoot here, so you get more here. The official measurements are taken here. It's fun, it's bouncy, it's a decently soft ride that still puts you up on your toes. So it blends the aggressive elements that we might get from a shoe like the Saucony Endorphin Elite with that softer feel from the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, while also feeling good across a range of paces. So I've had some friends here on the channel running 10-minute miles who have liked the shoe so far. The stability is good and you get a lot of protection. So Hoka did a nice job trickling down some training elements, or I guess that would be trickling up or laddering up elements we might see on a training shoe, like that additional foam, a little bit of a denser foam at heavier weight to give it a more substantial feel. Not that they were going for a heavier weight, but some of the elements in here, like the structured heel counter and additional rubber, they weren't super worried about making this the lightest possible racing shoe, which allowed them to engineer more comfort into it. So it's a nice option for runners who want some fun on race day, also want stability, and also want a little bit of that aggressive ride. So main trade-off is that weight. You get fun, you get aggression and stability, which is a really rare triumvirate, but you don't get the lightest package. So that's the thing. It's going to be coming in at, in my size, it was around 270. The Endorphin Pro 4 was around 240 grams. Endorphin Elite was around 220. So definitely heavier on foot, but you get the additional comfort, the additional cushion, the additional bounce, and overall you're going to get a fun race day experience. You're going to have fun if you lace this up on race day. And if your goal is to have fun while also going for a PR or for going for a fast time, then that's the Hoka Cielo X1 here. So those are the two alternatives to the Endorphin Pro 4. This is the fun one, and then Nova Blast 4 is the comfortable one. So alternatives to the Saucony Endorphin Elite. My first one would be the Adidas Adios Pro 3. So if you want something that's a little bit easier to run in, less punishing, still has that dense bounce feeling, a little bit of a firmer, more structured ride than we might get from a Vaporfly or the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, still good stability. That would be the Adidas Adios Pro 3. This is also a shoe that people considering the Endorphin Pro 4 might enjoy. Now, I wouldn't recommend this for a 4-hour plus marathon, but a lot of 3:30 marathoners like this shoe. The Light Strike Pro holds up really well to longer time on feet and to bigger runners. It's nice and dense, nice and bouncy. And then, of course, we have the Adidas Continental rubber here. Best rubber in the game versus Endorphin Elite, which has the worst. And it's funny because if you look at these, you can't see that much of a difference. Adidas also did go with this flat layout, but they're the only brand who can get away with this flat layout and still have it grip the ground. So in this guy, and I should have mentioned the other one, in this guy I've ran a full marathon as well as I think a 10-mile training run, but I have run a full marathon in this. I've run a 22-mile long run in this Cielo X1, and I've run a 23-mile long run that took about 3 hours in the Nova Blast 4. So I've put some serious time on feet in all of these shoes that I'm recommending. The reason I'm recommending this as an alternative to the Endorphin Elite, it's less aggressive, it's more comfortable, it's less punishing at slower paces. So if you want something that gives you that fast, slightly firmer feel, this would be a good choice, but it's not going to punish you if you have to slow down. It's also not going to punish you at a 3:15 marathon pace or a 3:30 marathon pace. The Endorphin Elite, for me, really punished me at those paces, and I had a friend comment on the long run, 21-mile long run video I did in that shoe that their forefoot was just getting absolutely chewed up by the end of the marathon they did in the Endorphin Elite. So that's likely not going to happen. There's no guarantees, but that's probably not going to happen in the Adios Pro 3. I ran a full marathon in this. There was no pounding. The Light Strike Pro absorbs impact really well. Only one downside of this shoe is the upper. Some runners do not get along with the upper. They say they have to fiddle and fuss with it. It's a little bit finicky to get a good fit. I haven't had too much issue with the Adios uppers and the Adizero uppers in general, but I'd say, again, buyer beware. I have heard you can fix that with some lock laces. I've also seen some runners cutting out different areas of the upper on some forums to prevent rubbing or whatever it is. So I don't know. I haven't done any surgery on my Adios Pro 3. I like to keep my shoes stock because I like to test them as the manufacturers pump them out of the factory, because then I can tell you guys how they feel in their intended state. So no surgery on this guy, no BBL. Adios. Anyway, that's the first alternative for the Endorphin Elite. Second alternative, last shoe I'm going to recommend to you guys here today is the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris. I ran my current marathon PR in this bad boy. Let's get that little thing out of the way. Let's see. Yeah, off camera. Perfect. Yeah, I ran a 2:49 in this. It's light. It's fast. It is very aggressive. So if you want something even more aggressive than the Endorphin Elite here, that would be the Sky Paris. The stability on it is way worse. Look at the difference in the heel here. The Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris, very narrow, versus Saucony Endorphin Elite, super wide. So it's not necessarily that the foam in the Sky Paris is so much lighter or whatever. It's that the Endorphin Elite just has more of the foam. That's why the Endorphin Elite comes in closer to 220 grams in my size, and the Sky Paris comes in around 195 grams. And also, that's because the Sky Paris is shorter in this size than the Endorphin Elite. So I would have had to go up probably half a size to get the same fit in the Sky Paris that I get in the Endorphin Elite. You can't really see on camera, but my black toenail will tell you that. I still have that from the race. So foam in the Sky Paris, very similar to the Endorphin Elite in how it feels, not necessarily the ride experience, but in how it feels best at a certain pace range. So likely will be different. Oh, and we got a little bit of a dirt damage on this. Man, that's not what we want to see. All right, I'm going to have to, I guess I should have power washed this table. That's a bummer. That's a real bummer. We got to keep our shoes clean. But yeah, this feels best for me at faster paces. The foam activates, comes alive when I'm running faster than a 7 minute per mile pace. Any slower than that, this just feels like a standard firm daily trainer, and I'm not really getting any benefit out of it at those paces. And it's going to depend on your weight. It's going to depend on your running style, your form, your mechanics, maybe how long you're even spending on feet. But for me, this really, it feels like I'm getting the most benefit out of this shoe once I'm hitting 650, 640 and faster. Any slower than that, I would not even be considering this, similar to the Endorphin Elite. But if you do want the lightest racing shoe on the market for the marathon distance, I would go with this one. I prefer it over the Edge for fast, aggressive feeling because of how they've set up the midsole here. It just feels a little bit more aggressive to me. The Edge feels a little bit softer. Again, it's not a huge difference, maybe a 5% difference, but if you're looking for that aggressive feel, if that's why you're considering the Endorphin Elite, I think that you will get along with the Sky really well. Just make sure to size probably half a size up or get it on your foot beforehand, and also just make sure you're going into that experience knowing that you want fast and aggressive. That was the issue for me, and why I wish I went with the Pro 4 for my marathon PR. It was nice and fast and aggressive, but a little bit too aggressive for what I wanted and for the race I was able to run that day. And you can see just how narrow this back platform is. I can benefit from a little bit more stability if I'm going to be out there for close to 3 hours, as I was with this shoe. So if you want aggressive, if you're not worried about stability, if you are an aggressive forefoot striker and want the most propulsive race day experience, that would be the Metaspeed Sky Paris. There's not as much of a rolling rocker setup in here. It's really more about the foam activating and giving you a nice bounce along as you get up into those fast race paces. So that's the Sky Paris here, our last shoe in this comparison. Let me just do a little least aggressive to most aggressive spectrum here, and then we can close it out. So Nova Blast, this is the one I would get if you want least aggressive, comfortable 4-hour marathon time on feet. And then we have Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, one of the most, if not the most versatile marathon racing shoe on the market. If you want to bump up to something that's good for long time on feet, still comfortable, soft and bouncy, but has a little bit more of that aggressive feel. Look at that. Look at that rocker. That will just pop you right along, provide you a lot of cushion. You're not worried about having a heavier shoe. You don't care about the weight of the shoe because you know you're going to get the benefit from the foam. That is the Hoka Cielo X1. And if you want something that's going to be a little bit better for maybe slightly faster running or just a little bit of that denser, bouncier feel, if you want one of the fastest marathon racing shoes, or one of the shoes that's been used in some of the fastest marathon performances, shout out to Boston Marathon last year, that's the Adidas Adios Pro 3. Also great grip, much better grip than the Saucony Endorphin Elite. Great shoe for 330 marathoners, bigger marathoners. And then next up, we have Saucony Endorphin Elite. Now we're getting into the very aggressive territory. This one really puts you up on your toes. It's fast, it's propulsive, really aggressive rocker. There's no hanging back in the shoe. You have to be running with strength to get the biggest benefit out of it, and that is similar to our last guy here, the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris, the most aggressive of this marathon shoe continuum that we have today. You're going to want this guy if you want light, fast. You don't care about stability. You only care about setting a PR, and you're ready to face your demons to do that. So there you have it, guys. Nova Blast 4, Endorphin Pro 4, Hoka Cielo X1, Adios Pro 3, Saucony Endorphin Elite, Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris. This was supposed to just be a Endorphin Pro 4 versus Endorphin Elite, but you got the whole shebang. So we'll be back tomorrow with some more miles, another video. I'm slowly working my way up to 100 miles on the Nike Pegasus. So that's why we did this little comparison out here today. Let me know what other comparisons you want to see. I can just bang these. I can crank these out short and fast. So let me know what you want to see. I'll be back tomorrow with another video.